Hi, this is Elfinko. I wanted to do a tutorial about checkpoints, and one of the ways that I've been doing them in my more recent maps. This is an example of an old map, and an example of why I wanted to get away from the kind of old way that I was doing them. What we have here is just a player start, and what I've seen in most maps that are coming out of the community today are it's basically just a trigger that shuts down one and enables another, and then that chain continues on until the next checkpoint where it does the same thing. Problem with that is that when you right click on here and you go to all the connected objects to that, what you find is, in a lot of maps, and this one is pretty egregious, that's why I chose it, is a huge mess, and there's really no reason that all of this should be connected to one player start. But this is what happens when you start linking demons and effects and triggers, all the player starts. Some maps are worse than others. This one's pretty bad. And the reason I kind of got away from this is, it wasn't this map, but it was my next map where I started to have a lot of problems with things like objects. I couldn't select them. I was having a lot of really glitchy issues with the map. And someone had looked at it and said, this could be one of the issues where, the logic chains really start getting screwed up when everything is connected. So I kind of set out about finding a way to do this in a kind of cleaner way, where it kind of keeps the checkpoint system unto itself, if you will, and not connecting to almost every other object in the map. So that being said, that's the bad example. I'm going to load up the example of the new map here. Alright, checkpoint tutorial. We're going to edit this. It's a very basic checkpoint tutorial. What we have here is a starting area. We have an area where you can have checkpoint 1, and we're going to have an area here where you have checkpoint 2. I'll fly down here. Now I set these fires up here. They do 1,000 damage, basically. Easy way to kill myself to test the system. Basically, what this does is we're using a integer, and we're using it with an integer compare. So in this instance, we will have a integer with a initial value of 0. Now the integer compare is going to compare the left side of the equation to the right. So in this case, it's going to compare whatever the value is of our integer here, which I've called CPN in checkpoint integer. So basically what's going to happen here is anytime this integer changes, it's going to change. On change, it's going to test this. If this tests the left side to equal the right side, if it equals, is going to enable the player start. If it doesn't equal, it's going to disable the player start. This checkpoint, being the first one, starts out at 0. The integer starts out at 0. We're looking for 0 for it to compare to, so this checkpoint will automatically be enabled. Let's slide up to the next one here. next checkpoint. Now, without us triggering anything, our checkpoint is still 0 if we haven't walked into this room yet. So what's going to happen here, on this integer compare, we changed our right hand side to it must equal 1. If it doesn't equal 1, if it doesn't equal the right side, it's going to disable the player start. And we're going to keep doing that on the same thing here. Integer compare, and this side is going to be 2. So the way we get at the switch checkpoints is once we walk up through here, we're going to use a module on entered to set the integer. So we are at checkpoint 1 where we want it to be 1. We're going to set the integer to 1. And this is a reference, you'll notice, to this. These are not different. These are the same integers, just different copies of them. So when this changes, obviously so does this. They're both referencing CPINT, checkpoint integer. So you're going to walk in, it's going to set it to 1. It's going to set this to 1. When this gets set, it changes, and when it changes, it tests. When it tests, it's going to have CP1 will now equal 1. Right hand side is now equal 1. When they equal, it enables. If it did not equal, it would disable. And when that happens, it automatically will disable this guy, because down here CP will now be 1, right hand side of the equation will be 0, they will not equal, and it will disable the player start. So it's just a way to keep the player start or the checkpoint system kind of separate from the rest of everything else and the logic that's going on in your map, so you can basically select it and bam, and that's all you got. You can get in a little trouble like this if you start using triggers to change the reference point here. This is why I like to keep a separate reference point in the room when actually changing it, so that it doesn't start linking up with other objects that it doesn't need to link up to. So we'll give this a run. Okay, we start in the starting area, and just to show that it wasn't a fluke, we'll kind of kill ourselves a few times. One more time. There you go. Still in the starting area. Alright, we'll go up to the first checkpoint. I walked into this room, and now the checkpoint has been set. I didn't set any messages that would tell you that, but checkpoint 1 is now set. I should start back in checkpoint area 1. And I keep respawning here, which is how it's supposed to work. So fly up here. Checkpoint area 2, when I walked into the room, set checkpoint 2. Checkpoint 2. Checkpoint 2. And there you go. Alright, let's step back out here for a minute. And the nice thing about this is is that it's very easy to basically expand on it. Select this, select all connected, grabs the entire system here, copy that. Whoop. Actually, that's not the one I wanted. Let's that's starting. Let's. Oh, that is 2. Okay. Yeah, I copied the module. Everything went down here. So let's 3. Everything was copied when I copied that module. So all we really need to change here is we're going to change this to 3. We want this to be 3 now. When we went into the room, we wanted to set the integer, update our CP int to 3, and that's all you need to do. And as soon as you walk in here, this will be a new checkpoint. It's just that simple. Let's save it. Play it. Checkpoint 2. Alright, we're checkpoint 3. Checkpoint 3 is set. Checkpoint 3. And one more time. So this works. Makes things a lot easier than, you know, connecting one player start to another player start to another player start to another player start, and ending up with huge amounts of connected objects that can, you know, Snapmap is buggy enough without giving it a reason to be buggy. So I think it's just a good idea just to keep things nice and clean and make it a little easier for the editor to run, the game to run, and it's a lot cleaner for yourself too. Now the nice thing about this is if you wanted to, you could actually set up multiple player starts, say you were in an arena type of situation with a bunch of waves, and instead of having the player, you know, starting in the same spot over and over again, it gives a little variety to the spawn system, and maybe if you're in like a wide open arena. So that's something else you could do with it. And there you go. Alright, well I hope this helps. I'll try to do some more tutorials just on hopefully some simpler things. But I thought this would be an interesting one. I looked through a bunch of maps out there that people were making. Some pretty prominent Snapmap authors. Guys that do some really great stuff, and I noticed they were kind of using the old system. I thought this would be kind of helpful. Alright, well, signing out, and thanks for watching.